run 10Ks just before this, and I'm still kind of sweaty. And yeah, I don't want to put on the beanie, even though we've got the aircon and everything going in here. So we'll talk about that some other time. Maybe monthly goals, things like that.
Yep.
Let's jump into, in particular, the media, not focusing. Sorry, there was a couple of comments that I saw in the other one. Cole was talking about an abundance mentality. I think that's what he was saying, that he's not focusing on the opposite of that, a scarcity mentality, something like that. So thank you, Cole, for joining in and letting us know that. What are you not focusing media-wise, Juan?
Well, media-wise, I just want to make sure that live is back on. I don't think that it is.
Really?
Oh, nope, we got it back in. All right, cool. We're back in. No, and then the note I put from media, I guess, I actually just put it as no attention leakage. Okay. Not similar to Karen's anal leakage, but attention leakage. So, no attention leakage for 2026. And what that means is just broadly, I'm not sequestering specific media as a whole, but I just don't want my attention to be leaked into things that I will look back in X amount of time and go, either it was, I don't recall it, I don't remember it, it wasn't useful, and it was always been superseded by something else. Mm-hmm. So an example of this is when I wake up in the morning, I usually wake up, I'm very, very routine driven in that I wake up, I go to the bathroom, I use the computer to do all my little note takings. And in that process, from when I wake up to when I leave the door to go to the gym in the morning, it can be 45 minutes, 50 minutes. So it's like a good amount of time that I can take. And depending on where my attention is going, it could become longer than that. And on average, maybe 15 minutes longer. And what that might be I saw an interesting article, like a news article that popped up, or I see scrolling on social media for an extra 10 minutes, whatever have you. But if I really inspect that 3 weeks later, I go, do I really recall the article? Do I really recall what I was scrolling on the social media? Even if it was conscious, and I guess this is the difference. I was making notes around, I can say to myself, I was trying to consciously go on social media to check this profile or see this and see that. Awesome, now I can go and do the next thing. So that's fine. But if I still recall it 3 weeks later, or like reflect back on it 3 weeks later or a month later or 2 months later, and I go, I don't remember it. It wasn't even that useful, whatever. I'm almost terming that as, that's leakage. That's attention leakage, where there are set things that I do remember, are helpful, are beneficial, do drive my goals or my aims forward. And I go, okay, those are the things I should be making much more time from. And if I'm putting my attention elsewhere, then it's leaking. So that could be, it's like a really broad amount of things. So one, it could be social media. Two, it can be things like how I create clips or schedule items. Sometimes, like especially in the mornings, for whatever reason, it might just be processing slow. And I'll just be sitting there waiting for it to process. And I might go on the phone just to chill out waiting for it. And I might go 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes. And I'm kind of watching these things process. Where honestly, the right call is just go, put it and just leave it and go. Just go upstairs, go do my processes, just go to the gym and come back. And when it's done, it's done. And often my mental state is, no, I've got to stay here and just finish this task and then move on and do the next task, which will be gym. But there's just leaking attention because I'm just doing random other things, waiting around for this to happen. I go, nah, I just need to get myself moving. So if I can do that in enough places, I think I can be more effective. And by effective, I don't mean outcomes. I just mean focusing on the things that I care more about. Another one, actually, that I'm going to start doing, which I to and fro on how much I do this. But again, going to Bluey's World today, I'm going to make an effort that I'll probably put my phone on like plane mode. So that when I'm there, there's just nothing coming through at all. Mm-hmm. I'm really not contactable. Is there a risk to that? Sure. There could be an emergency that happens that I probably could see a text message or something like that. Fine. But there's a balance on, it's probably going to be okay for an hour or 2 hours, right? If I'm on a flight, an emergency can happen at the same time as well. So it's looking at that as where the attention might be leaking currently, and that is just where's my energy going, where it's maybe not reflective of what I truly should be aiming for and doing. Yeah. More to that effect. And I guess when it comes to media, yes, I will be still keeping most of the media that I use to as it is, but the Nota has that modern world's like an attention casino, right? And you can get entertained by a ton load of things. It's even in the things that I enjoy, books and whatnot, it's still entertainment. It's just in a slower bandwidth way. I think it's just approaching the things that I know I either I should care about or I do care about or hold such great value that in years to come I'm going to be happy that I put in the effort and put the attention on that, versus honestly, apart from one thing on social media that I do want to tell you in a moment once we finish the podcast, there's nothing else that I've seen on social media this morning. I have looked at it that really I can even either recall nor I care about. So then that kind of makes me go, well, what was the point of even checking in the first place?
Sure. Yep. All right, I've got my list here of 3 things and maybe 4 if I'll chuck in another that I thought about. And this is all just related to media of various sorts. So the kind of all the stuff we were talking about last week about what we're consuming, a lot more text-based stuff now for myself, and it sounds like you as well. But we'll jump right into it. Philosophers. So people who are talking about things that don't work straight away, or it's like, this is going to be in the future, this will happen, things like that. I'm kind of not interested in that. Unless it's something I can touch and use almost instantly, I'm going to kind of just ignore it pretty quickly. So this is things like grand ideas. This is white papers of like various different types. This is like design specs or technical things. Like, I don't care. Unless there's a thing that I can use straight away, I'm just not interested. So sure. I was doing one thing last night, for example, and I found this thing called, it was Zauth, and it's a quick little thing where you just put in a GitHub repository and it gives you a score sheet of like, hey, there's this type of code's been used on it. Did a check, haven't seen much forking or like it being code that's just been copied from somewhere else. This many unique authors, they seem to be reasonably like diverse in where they're posting and stuff. So, it's not just an AI code base, it's some actual people writing custom code for it, for example, things like that. And I thought that was, it's pretty basic, I guess now. You could probably do that in GPT as well, I guess.
Probably.
But just the layout, the setup, how quick it was, great. That was awesome. When it's things which are just talking about stuff, I prefer the under promise, over deliver sort of mindset. So this is actually one of the things like moonshots, I guess, for example. When I was listening to the recent one with Elon Musk that they had, all of that was about like, we're going to have the, when we've got the satellites and they're orbiting the sun or something, there's going to be too much bandwidth or like the intercollisions between like, there's no space, there's not going to be enough space or something. I'm like, fucking hell, guys, this is too far for me. This is too far. So I stopped 1/3 of the way through that and I just went like, why am I listening to this? What is this actually doing for me? Stuff that's in 10 years, cool. All right, I'll get to it when it's 10 years time and be amazed then, rather than amazed at what could be happening.
I don't know. I my only challenge though, which is an interesting one, is that, it's often when there are individuals speaking about the future, this one's dicey, right? Because where you set to invest your energy and time might pay off and might not pay off. An example is Andrew Horowitz, A16Z Venture Capital. So I was reading an article. Yeah, interestingly enough, I read this in text, not in like a video and whatnot. And I don't think this would have been it would have taken a lot of effort to put into a video or an audio. But A16Z said, I don't know if you know about big data or Hadoop as a company. Yeah. Back in the day, 2010s-ish, Hadoop was a big, huge company doing big data. And the way that they did it was with a particular methodology that Google actually famously used around REM structuring data and making it easier to process in separate servers. Hadoop was a big gold company worth billions of dollars, and everyone was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, this is the future of big data. This is what's going on. And Ben Horowitz didn't invest into the company, and Andrew, everyone basically in the company was like, man, we missed it. Like, why didn't we do it? And he was like, no, that is not the architecture, I don't think, of the future, of what's going to happen. I think it needs to be slightly different, blah, 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 blah. And he was looking way ahead at actually what you actually need the data setups to be doing and the way that it's processing, and that the coding of it wasn't very aligned. But at the time, it was like, this is the big thing. Everyone's using it. But Ben, purposely was like, no, I don't want to give any money. And it was 8 professors who came up with a open source code or system that was able to do much, much faster processing of data, like big data, and they called it Spark. Now, this was a journal paper, and what happened? It was open source too. They literally like made it available for everyone. Barely anybody uses it. Like, nobody uses it. And Ben was like, no. He read that paper, and it was like, something for the future, and was like, no, that is what's going to be like that. I can see it. That's going to be the future. That's what we need to put into it. I can't remember if it was, I think it was Ali was one of like the 8 guys. I don't know if it was Ali who talked to Ben Horowitz or Ben Horowitz talked to Ali, but it was called Databricks. So Databricks went and talked to and like ACCNZ and Ben Horowitz in particular, and was like, hey, we need about $200,000 to do this. And Ben Horowitz turned back and said, no, I'm going to give you $10 million, and we're going to do this huge, fantastic things.
Okay.
Anyways, move forward into the future, because it took quite a few years for them to get going. Databricks is now like one of the biggest big data things there is. And yes, that is now the proper architecture that gets used for big data. And Hadoop, I think, still exists, but basically no one uses that architecture system anymore. Okay. So there's that's an example, obviously, where it succeeded. Just as equally, there would be future potentials that you might put forward that never work out. So, the one that like me and you barely know anything about, but foldable phones. And like, I remember reading and hearing things about the flexible screens that you could have, and you could roll them up and you could flex them. Yeah. And I was like, I just don't care. And, you could invest, read, learn, get interested by whatever. But again, for me, and maybe for you, it was like, what's the point? What's the point of listening to this? I'm sure even if it gets there, who cares? And now Androids have a lot of those foldable things. You can get roll-up ones as well. It's sounding like Apple's going to release a new phone, which will be foldable from next year. Okay. So it's sort of like, whether you like it or not, that is the path forward. And maybe it would have paid off if years and years ago someone was like, oh, I'm going to become knowledgeable of that, know about it, invest in it, whether it's monetarily or some other way. It might have paid off. But imagine kind of like 3D TVs, when you put the glasses on, you can watch TV and you can see it in 3D. I remember thinking, oh, that'd be a cool idea. And if I'd invested time and energy to learn about it, and it just went away. Like, I don't believe anything gets sold anymore that's around that.
Yeah.
Maybe it would have been like, well, what was the point of that? They were like, well, how dumb was this? So I think you can have both ends happen. In the example that you were giving about like the Elon Musk and they're talking about Dyson spheres and colliding. Part of me goes, I'm listening to this like entertainment. I'm not listening to there's a lot of reality that will hit so many years. And I did the same. I listened to about 2/3 of it. I went, all right, I'm tapping out. Like, I want to go and listen to something. I was treating it as entertainment, not as this is like a learning, like a piece where I'm going to figure out the next actions, the next, most important thing to do. No, it's just I'm treating it as entertainment. Yeah,
good call on that. I think that's how I view it, because it's, some of these can have a facade of like, this is going to be it. This is the future. Like, get ready for it. It's happening. And Elon is very good at this, because everything he says sounds like it's 6 months away, when it's,
years and years
infamously,
and years
he's way too optimistic with his predictions.
Speaking of it, on Moonshots, they keep talking about the book Accelerando. I don't know if you've ever read Accelerando or heard him say it.
Never heard of it.
I've started to read Accelerando. I found it just free online, so I'm reading it. It actually is Accelerando, like in Spanish, speeding up, but they call it Accelerando. So I'm like, I call it Accelerando. And in that book, that book was written it was not a book. It's a short, like, novellas, basically, written from 2001 all the way through to 2005. Mm-hmm. And reading that book, like, almost in the first few pages, is like the most crazy sci-fi thing I've ever heard. I don't really read much sci-fi, so maybe this is par for the course, like pretty normal. But reading this, I'm like, okay. On Moonshots, they treat it as like, oh, this is what's going to happen, and this is like the reality. And I read it going like, man, this is the most fantasy fiction, like entertainment thing I've read. Maybe some of it comes true, but they're talking about some crazy stuff. I can't even recall to you what wording they're using. I'm like, okay, it would be meaningless for me to go and look into this and learn about it because it just sounds so absurd that it's just not in the now. It's not in the 5 years. It's fucking who knows how long into the future.
Yeah. We should probably talk about like planning to the future as well at some point because there's only.
So you didn't get into this on. You might not get to this point on the Elon Musk one. So again, this is the differentiation between is it reality that you do something about, or do you just treat it as entertainment? That conversation with Elon Musk on Moonshots with Peter Diamandis, Elon's call out was, if you fair enough believe of what they've been talking about in the podcast and the conversation that they have, forget saving any money for retirement. He said, forget any retirement saving. You don't need it.
Yeah.
Because in 5-10 years, we'll all have all the money that you need for everything. And so part of that, I kind of took like, I see the gears that get to that position if you do believe these things. But I can't treat that.
That's a big risk.
I can't treat that. Exactly. Like that validity, the level of risk. Sure, okay, they're coming from a very different place. But I kind of went, what am I hearing? What are you saying? Are you saying to people like, forget about retirement money and anything else?
Yeah.
If any of these steps like miscue or you have someone of power that just dominates the money, Venezuela happens.
Yeah.
You're fucked. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
I was just like, man, okay, I cannot take all of it as next best action.
Yeah. No, you're right. I do enjoy entertainment. Who doesn't? And if I want a fantasy type one, I'd probably would rather read Asimov or Philip K. Dick or something rather than listen to Moonshots. I'd find that more entertaining. So yeah, good call out on that. Two more that I've got here: the what ifs and what abouters. So I feel like I've already listened to way too much or read too much about AI is coming for our jobs. What happens when it turns sentient and kills us all, or things like this? And I use that because it comes to mind instantly. But I can use the same thing with regards to politics or geographical, what would you call it? Like events which are out of my control. The fucking volcanoes, earthquakes,
any natural
disasters, things like this. There's so much where you can worry about things, and it's just too much of it. Is okay, but there's nothing I can do about it, and it creeps into my consumption every now and then, and I really want to put a stop to that. So, just getting rid of a lot of that. I've got rid of most of it, but yeah, sometimes things just pop in, you know, and so that's one I want to make sure I don't. And then the last one I've got here, haters. Man, there's some fucking haters out there. So with my YouTube, it's very, especially in the evening, because that's where it gets into like pure entertainment, and probably this is related to what you're talking about, the comparison thing, where it's like you watch some running videos and then you watch Nick Bear, and it's like, oh man, I kind of feel bad because I can't do what he's doing, or he's like so good. And it's a weird, it's hard to rationalize. I get the same with handstands. Sometimes every like now and then, just a tiny little bit will be like, fuck, that's motivational. That's so cool. Or like, wow, that's amazing. If I consume more than 3 minutes of it, it turns into like, oh man, I feel bad because I want to do that and I can't do that. And I probably never will be able to do that because they were doing it since they were like 6 years old or whatever.
Yep.
And also that kind of creeps in. It's also why I don't have Instagram on my phone. And that, because that was one of the things that would happen for myself, and I just don't care for it. So getting rid of that. But the other one that started to creep in is a couple of videos, and I've got some titles here. So The Dark Side of Mr. Beast's Empire, Brisbane's Disastrous Train Upgrade, How Bonnie Blue Ruined Her Life, How Squid Game Became Irrelevant. And so I've noticed there's a type of YouTube channel, so it's not just one person, but there's multiple who they're doing these kind of like call out, what would you call it? Like taking pleasure in the pain of others or something like this. On the better side of that spectrum, you'd have someone like CoffeeZilla, who it's like, okay, he's actually investigating these really scammy behavior of people, and he runs the gamut from crypto stuff to MLMs to, just pure fraud on supplement companies or whatever. A lot of these people, though, were just like, who's
Just
someone...
hating for hating
Yeah,
stuff, basically.
yeah. Lex Fridman, let's take him down. Andrew Huberman, let's take him down. Joe Rogan, take him down. It's just like, pick PewDiePie, take him down. It's just like, take whoever you can and then just put a spin on them. And yeah, no one's perfect, so they're all going to have things that didn't work, or they said something that or they went through a phase of their life where they're perhaps a little bit like depressed, or things weren't going right. Jesus Christ, man, there's and like the videos they're entertaining in a way, because some of these people, you instantly dislike. If you see a Johnny Somali video or something, you'll be like, fuck that guy. But spending 20 minutes, 30 minutes on watching that, I don't need to do that. And they can be addictive. So
sure.
That's the other one where I'm making sure that I don't fall into watching videos of pure haters, just people who are monetizing based on taking down others. I don't like that.
My final point, I think it'll sum us up here. What I don't want to take is confusing consumption with growth. And I like an easy note for mine is, information, even if I think that it's learning, if it doesn't really lead to some sort of change or adaptation or improvement, then I'm just thinking it's consumption. And consumption can be good from an entertainment perspective. But in that, let's just say the Squid Game. Why did Squid Game stuff it up or go down? If I was consuming that and my mentality is, I'm going to learn something, or I'm going to pick up something that's going to be of interest, that's a lie. That's a straight up lie, because I'm not going to adapt. I'm not going to change after the fact that I've watched this. And so if I consciously, before I click it, if I consciously go, am I, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, am I really going to consume this and improve, learn, do whatever else that comes from it that's going to be positive, or at least neutrally good? And if the answer is like, well, not really, I don't really see how it might be, and I might just go, okay, cool, I'll just leave that aside. Video formats, I don't generally have that problem. Like, I'm talking YouTube exclusively, probably like Netflix as well. I don't really have that problem because I don't watch things all that often. Again, I'm pretty exclusive podcast or talking heads type of conversations. But social media is probably the big thing. And I guess the scrolling, for whatever reason, I can sometimes talk myself into, there's not just consumption. I'm learning the trends. I'm learning what things are happening. I'm seeing how this particular company posts things and what this looks and feels like, so I can improve my things. And like, some of that rationalization is correct, because I do change some of the things I do for the mere mortals because of what I watch. So some of that is kind of true. Yeah. But some of it is and has to be partly just pure consumption for consumption's sake. And so it's not what I got going into this year as well is just don't confuse it. If I'm doing it, do it. Like, I'm not saying no, don't ever do it. That's not realistic. But don't confuse it. Don't overindulge myself thinking that I can just watch an hour of Instagram thinking that I'm doing market research. When I'm not. It's like maybe 3 minutes of that was market research and the rest is just consumption for its sake. Yeah. And importantly, if you're a parent, if you're chasing other things, and if you're doing that above hanging out with your kids or doing other things that are more aspirational, aligned to your goals, then you really need to stop and have a hard think of, is this really serving the best time that I'm using? Yeah. Or is it just your rationalization to do this thing, which is just purely for entertainment?
Yeah, I did that almost yesterday. I actually made the good decision, which was came home from the gym, Butters wanted to go outside or something, and so I let him out, and then I was just like, I want to get this thing from the car and then go back in quickly. And like, he picked up his toy and was like looking up at me, and I went, why do I need to go in right now? I don't need it. I can spend 5 minutes. So I spent 5 minutes just like playing around with him in the toy. It was great. A very good decision that I made just then. And because I would have gone in, felt like I was doing some work or something, but probably not really in essence. Where was that 5 minutes better spent? Yeah, definitely playing with him.
Yeah, it's the various things to the point. I don't know if we fully addressed it. What Cole said in the earlier chat as well about not thinking about abundance, but what was the opposite?
Scarcity.
Scarcity, just avoiding a scarcity mindset. Yeah, I think again, it's a good way to think about it. Not because I guess the other extreme would be abundance, but you don't have to be all the way there. It's just purely avoiding the scarcity mindset. It might not be that you think everything is coming. It's just, hey, it's not like nothing's coming for you. It's not like you can't do anything and moving away from that negative self. So I think, again, whoever or wherever you hear, read, or see, it's like, I don't know, 3 times or 6, 7 times more powerful, the no's to the yes, the negative to the positive for a human. So if something happens as negative, you need triple or more the amount of positive things for you to kind of equate as neutral. Under that mathematical, conversation, and kind of go, well, the more things you can avoid that are negative rather than chasing the positives, the better you're going to be, because the negatives are going to hurt you or weigh on you more than the positives are. So if you can go through most days and just avoid that negative self-talk, avoid the negative attention that's creeping on you, well, you could be mostly neutral in some positives and you're going to feel better for it than hitting heaps of positives, but then having a couple of negatives always sort of filter in, and you're still going to get to end of the day or reviewing your week and go, I hadn't do that, I regret doing this, that sort of mentality.
Sure. Yep. Yeah. Good way to end it, man.
Mere Mortals, I think we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for tuning in live. Apologies for those tuning in live that we have to split across 2, but that's just what happens sometimes. We're not going to dwell on it. It's just a reality. If you want to join us as well, 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on Sundays is when we go live, so feel free to tune in. For now, Mere Mortals, be well, take care. Juan out.
Karen out.
Good.
Good.